We are changing lives. We're making a difference to thousands and millions of children's lives by being here and through what we do. We are sowing seeds for the future. We're sowing seeds that's going to change this world.
Children and youth deserve a better future. Better future, better situation than where we are now. Because violence is a violation of the life God desires for every child.
Lagi po natin tatandaan na tayo po mga kabataan ay pag-asa ng bayan. Nasa ating mga kamay yung future ng mga saling lahi ng ating bansa.
Ang nakita ko, World Vision was able to create projects that is able to sustain them, to teach them and educate them kung paano sila mabubuhay ng pangsarili nila.
Dahil binigyan kami ng sapat na kabuhayan ng World Vision, nung hindi ko kaya ibinigay noon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga anak ko, unti-unti na ibibigay ko na ngayon.
Naniniwala kami na kapag ang mga batang Pinoy makapagtapos ng kanilang pag-aaral, mas uunlad yung bayan natin.
Sana wag silang mawala ng pag-asa kahit na ang daming problema, ang daming nagiging hadlang para makuha nila yung pangarap nila, para makuha nila yung edukasyon na gusto nila. Patuloy lang na lumaban.
Thanks to Papa Group, it's easy for us to study and makes learning more exciting.
With good result, the Division of Sarangani decided to institutionalize the culture of reading in the whole division.
Tumaas yung antas ng edukasyon ng mga bata. Dahil sa kanila, mananatili ang World Vision at mga sponsor sa isip namin, higit lalo sa aming puso. Saludo kami lahat.
Children and youth can provide solution as well to prepare, mitigate, and build back better when crisis happen.
Nagpapasalamat kami sa World Vision sa pagsusuporta sa aming munisipalidad. Ngayon, masasabi ko na handa ng dagamin sa mga posibleng emergencies at kalamidad.
World Vision reiterates its commitment to help ensure that children of Marawi are provided for.
Kailangan maging handa sa mga gantong suliranin. Alamin ang mga dapat pagandaan at iwasan upang hindi umabot sa panganib ang ating kalagayan sa panahon ng kalamidad o sakuna. Dapat ready.
Yung naging focus ng Mother Baby Friendly Philippines Project, paano natin ma-regulate ang distribution ng mga breast milk substitutes and to raise awareness kung ano yung breastfeeding and kung bakit ito importante para sa mga anak at para sa mga nanay.
To all the sponsors and donors, thank you for your support in providing better quality of life for the children.
We're doing this in World Vision because we believe the Social Innovation Challenge, or finding those innovative minds, the game changers as we call them, would be instrumental in solving problems such as education and agriculture, as I mentioned.
Ang inspirasyon ko ay ang aking sponsor sa World Vision. Salamat sa Panginoon na may isang katulad niya na handang tumulong sa isang katulad kong bata. Kayo po ay isang tunay na bayani.
Sa ginagawa niyo po, tinutulungan niyo po mag-transform ang buhay ng mga bata at makita niyo ang kanilang halaga na tumulong din sa mga kapwa-bata.
I feel blessed, honored, and privileged to have been used as an instrument to share God's love dun sa aking sponsor child. So, well, my heart is full.
Let's all pay it forward. Maliit na bagay po sa atin, pero napakalaki nun para sa kanila. Let's give them hope. Let's give them a brighter future.
I would encourage more people into the fold of World Vision for them to be able to enrich their lives as well as what I have did with mine.
Everyone who have already donated and to those who continue to support us, thank you very much. Maraming salamat po. God bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. First of all, I would like to welcome the 2,291 students who officially registered to World Vision's Virtual Youth Summit. I am Laika Caparas and I will be your host for this two-day event. But before we start, let us all rise for the Philippine National Anthem. Let us all pray for this time. Lord, we thank you for this summit. We thank you, Lord, that we are gathered here, and we pray, Lord, that all the speakers that will be sharing today, we would really feel empowered and leave, Lord, with the confidence of being future leaders of this country. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you once again, and welcome to World Vision's Virtual Youth Summit 2020. So, kamusta naman po kayo lahat? How are you all feeling? So, I can see here in our Facebook Live that you are all coming from everywhere, from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So, I would love it if you could tap the emoji that you are feeling today so we can see it. So, my heart, ang daming heart. Wow. and then there are likes as well. Thank you so much for that. And so we want to proceed with this summit with much hope. And this year may not have happened the way we expected it to, but this is also an opportunity for students all over Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao to join together in a virtual summit. And we wouldn't have been able to do this if you weren't here virtually. So tap a heart emoji if you are from Luzon. Mga Luzon students, the youth from Luzon. I can see many people who are representing their schools. Hello, everybody. And how about a heart emoji from people in Visayas, our students and our youth leaders in Visayas? Wow, that's overflowing with hearts there. And last but not the least, represent from Mindanao, students from Mindanao. Wow, we see an overflowing number of you just sharing and chatting all the schools that you are representing, and we're very happy that you're with us this afternoon. So before we start, of course, we want to introduce World Vision, right? So World Vision is an international Christian relief development and advocacy organization dedicated to working with children, families, communities to overcome poverty and injustice. For the past 63 years, we've had the privilege of working alongside the most vulnerable children and families from poor Filipino communities. This virtual youth summit is World Vision's initiative to reach out and continue to empower the youth of the Philippines to address certain topics on current social issues and advocacies, together with GCash as our official streaming partner and Enderon Colleges for sponsoring free online courses to our raffle winners later. We thank you for being with us this afternoon. So please make sure to tune in all throughout the event. I know some of you weren't able to register, but you will still be able to get your e-certificate if you go through all of the sessions, and we will be giving instructions during the event. Right, so those who will answer the feedback form after the event will receive an e-certificate from us. And we do have several event sponsors as seen on your screen, and we will get to know them more about them during our break. But before we officially start, I want to introduce you our World Vision Development Foundation National Director, Mr. Romel V. Puerte, for the opening remarks.
Thank you so much. A wonderful time, and hello everyone from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. We are so excited. We are so happy that you are joining us today to the World Vision's Virtual Youth Summit 2020. I am also really hoping, as what Laika said, that wherever you are in the country or maybe outside of the country, that you are safe, you are healthy, you are doing very well. And it's really our hope and our prayer at World Vision that this summit will be something relevant, significant, and timely to each and every one of you. And of course, our heartfelt gratitude to all our partners, GCash and Enderon Colleges. Thank you so much for partnering with us. And of course, later to our esteemed powerhouse, amazing, really fantastic resource persons with Dr. Gia Sison, Iya Antonio, JC Punungbayan, Janina Vela, and Atom Araulo. Thank you so much. I'm sure the participants out there, they're so excited to listen to all the talks, and including myself, even the young at hearts, I'm sure really excited to listen moving forward later. And truly, we thank the Lord for the technology that kept us connected the past months. This is really amazing. And in fact, it enabled us to gather as many people, as thousands of people to summits such as this one. And something that we should be grateful to the Lord for, the use of technology. And speaking of technology, alam nyo ba kung saan galing yung origin ng Google, as in Google search, Google, in Google search that we use. And then if you Google it now, and maybe you're Googling it already, the origin of the word Google actually comes from the word Gogol, as in Googol, which is equivalent to 10 raised to the power of 100. So it starts with number 1, and then you add 100 zeros. And if you imagine it, it's a lot of numbers. It's big numbers. And it could also mean very infinite number. And the founders of Google, if you search further about this, would tell you that they've selected that, from Google to Google search now, to reflect their vision of infinite amount of information. And I think all of us, wherever you are, you have experienced that already. When you Google search, there's infinite amount of information out there that we have experienced wherever you are in the World Wide Web. And so it takes really a vision and courage to make something impossible. So if you go back to the history of Google, you would think, oh, is it really impossible? But then it takes that vision and courage to make that impossible possible. And I'd like to tell you, friends, that our faith in God will drive us towards achieving something greater than we think or imagine. Our faith in God is something that making us sure of things we hope for, certain of what we do not see. And yes, our faith in God will help us overcome COVID-19, this pandemic. And I'm sure our faith in God will enable us to come out of this pandemic victoriously. And to all our youth, to our students, participants today, wherever you are, I'd like to remind you, and please, know this, that the Lord has big plans for you. And his plan is to prosper you, not to harm you, even in the midst of COVID-19. And his plan is to give you hope and a future. I'd like you to hold on to that plan of the Lord to you. Don't be discouraged of our situation now, because the Lord's plan is always perfect, and the timing of God fulfilling his plan for you is always right. So I'd like you to hold on to that promise of the Lord. And to all of us here, young at heart, adults, parents, teachers, faith leaders, our partners, whatever you do in life, thank you so much for not giving up. Not giving up, especially hope, and not giving up, keeping our lights so shine, so that will be inspiration for our children and youth. Let's continue working together for them, especially during this time. So thank you very much. And again, welcome to the summit. God bless us all.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Romel, for that welcoming remarks. Again, if you just tuned in, welcome to World Vision's Virtual Youth Summit 2020. We would like to thank once again our official streaming partner, GCash. GCash is a company under Mint, which is a fintech startup partnership between Globe Telecom, La Ayala Corporation, and Ant Financial. Since 2004, GCash has pioneered in various mobile money solutions. Thank you also to Enderun Colleges for sponsoring our online certificate and language programs, which will be raffled out later. So please stay behind and wait until the end of the program. Enderun is a 4-year undergraduate college and management school in the Philippines that offers a full range of bachelor's degree and non-degree courses in the fields of international hospitality management, and business administration. They also offer short courses, certificate programs, and tutorials. So please feel free to start a Facebook watch party so your friends and your classmates who were not able to register can still join us and still watch. So please use the hashtag WV Virtual Youth Summit 2020. That's WV Virtual Youth Summit 2020. Right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This pandemic has really brought about a lot of changes to our daily routine, our plans, and even how we relate to one another. And undoubtedly, these changes have been different, and the different effects are different to each of us. So that is why our first topic is really to tackle mental health. And we're very, very privileged to have with us Dr. Gia Sison in partnership with the Youth for Mental Health Coalition. Dr. Gia is an occupational medicine specialist who currently heads the Women's Wellness Center in the Makati Medical Center Hospital. Now a prominent mental health advocate, Dr. Sison also hosts G-Talks, a digital series on CNN Philippines and in many other platforms. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce to you our first speaker, Dr. Gia Sison.
Thank you, Laika, and thank you to World Vision for inviting us over to give a talk on mental health effects during the pandemic. So next slide. So First of all, let's define what mental health is. Mental health is actually a state of wellness. It's about time that we start looking at mental health as a spectrum, and not only the ill spectrum, but we look at it from a wellness point of view. And with that mental health, we realize that we have our own potential. We can cope with the stressors or the pressures of life. We are able to work productively, and we have positive relationships. And we also can actually do good and serve the community as well. Now, this slide is five amongst a lot of concerns that came out after the pandemic. So there is always that factor of uncertainty about what's going to happen. So no one really actually knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Stats are still changing. We have, in one way, lost a loved one, or no, we know of a loss. We adjust to how life is nowadays, and there are heightened emotions as well. So we get a little bit extra in terms of feelings. And yes, we experience already barriers in accessing a lot of services, not just in terms of medical services, but the rest. Next slide. And this slide is actually zeroing in certain mental health concerns of the youth. Online classes, yes, there is very much stress, very much debate, discussion ongoing about this, since this is something new. So it can be a cause of stress. That's why it's very important that we communicate feedback to our teachers, and likewise. Cyberbullying is a concern. Cancel culture is a concern. Exploitation, unfortunately, and of course, gender-based violence. Next slide. Pauline Boss is a psychologist who studied much about losses, and she said that all of us suffer from ambiguous loss. So it doesn't have to be a person or a loved one, but all of us, when COVID hit, actually lost certain opportunities, even lost time or catch up with friends. Those are considered as ambiguous loss. And that grief is something that is communal. So even if we don't know the person, there is that factor that when we hear of someone passing away or someone that has lost a job, we kind of feel how they feel. And aside from COVID, there's an additional threat also of isolation and loneliness. So we have to watch out for that. And everybody is vulnerable when it comes to this. And so we talk about stressors. Every day we have stressors in life. And when we define stressors, these are actually negative events or positive life changes. So it really, there's a good type of stress and there's a negative type of stress. And for us to be able to get over the bad type of stress, we have to learn how to cope. Next slide. So coping strategy number 1 advises us to talk about your emotions. It's time that we start talking about our emotions. Next slide. So how are you feeling? So earlier, I think one of the what Laika mentioned was to mention your feelings using emojis. So how are you feeling? Because it's very important that we name how we feel. Next slide. So Susan David made a list of a range of emotions an individual may feel. But the bottom line of this slide is both positive and negative feelings are equally valid. Next slide. And the Harvard School of Public Health made a study just this year when COVID hit in terms of emotion management. And they found out, based on that study, that the solid graph, the more that we the more we express, the more we are aware of how we feel, the better we cope. Versus an individual that is aware of how he or she feels, but constantly denies him or herself of the feeling. So the conclusion of that study was attempts to control our emotions may actually amplify them. Next slide. And for those of you who are with siblings, or if parents are listening, talking is very important. On this particular slide, which is lifted from Resilience and Routines for Families during the pandemic, talking to your child can actually help. It can actually create a psychologically safe space where they can talk about how they feel. And on the other hand, if they are not ready to talk, it's just to assure them that you are there whenever they're ready to be able to talk about their concerns, their fears, and worries. Next slide. And on this slide, here are two of child-friendly resources in terms of provision of clear and realistic information about COVID. Because we can't keep denying children, they need to know what's going on. And so here are two reliable sources, Children's Commissioner and IASC. So you might want to check them out. So the key concepts here is, and the key points that I want to bring out is emphasize also on the positive. However, this is not to invalidate how other people feel, but it's more of this is happening. However, it's like emphasizing more on hope. And there has to be a sense of community. There has to be that factor of telling children or even peers that we are all in this together. And of course, gratitude, emphasizing that despite what's happening, we appreciate the little things in life and also what other people do in return as well. Next slide. And of course, the need to prepare. It's very important that we all know that prevention is key, but how to actually do that? That's very important to communicate that. And of course, being vulnerable. I mentioned about talking about your feelings. I think it's also about time that we should learn how to ask for help, because asking for help is absolutely not a sign of weakness. Coping strategy number 2, do something about it. You acknowledge the feelings and you do something about it. And you address your stressors. In fact, we have to be assertive in terms of being able to communicate what stresses us. And when we communicate what stresses us, we also try to find solutions to it. So it's not like it's always the problem. There has to be a win-win solution in between. Next slide. And in terms of online schooling, we really need much guidance and structure. We have to constantly communicate with the teacher and of course with the children on how they really feel, especially during the few months that we are on online schooling. Next slide. So coping strategy number 3 is about reframing our mindset. Next slide. Christine Neff is very studied self-compassion. And in being kind to yourself, that actually triggers a lot of service for others. So we come from this saying that we can't pour from an empty cup. So be kind to yourself first before we actually care for others. And with that, it's not selfish, because with caring for yourself, you also recognize that you have a common sharing as well. And so that opens doors in terms of self-compassion, which will in turn equate to strength and resilience. Next slide. Brené Brown is actually very strong in terms of vulnerability, because we cannot do this all by ourselves. In acknowledging our feelings, we also need feedback from others. And she said that we have to get feedback from people who are actually being brave with their lives, who are actually walking his or her talk. And in the process of acknowledging your feelings, for those of you who are fond of writing, I personally want to share a failure journal. There is a gratitude journal, but personally, I have a failure journal. On that journal, I write the things that I feel I have failed on, and on the other side of the column, I write the things that I did to address that failure. In that way, whenever I go back to it, I always remember, and it helps me cope at the moment. So that actually helps in terms of me venting out my emotions. And of course, we all had plans before COVID hit us, but these plans may be these plans are have been postponed. But it doesn't mean that these dreams are totally not they're not going to come true. So we replan, we restructure, and we have to develop clear and flexible plans. Next slide. Coping strategy number 4 is we also have to limit our exposure to distressing situations. Next slide. So we have to learn how to pause because every day it's also fast. A lot of things overwhelm us. One of these days, we really have to learn how to stop, pause, and recalibrate our lives because constant exposure to a stressor may lead to negative effects in terms of our mental health. So expose ourselves to stories of inspiration and stories that bring us hope. Right? And here, limit your exposure to news that can trigger us. And of course, we have to follow credible sources as well. So that includes social media. On this slide, the main message of this slide is mindful consumption. We have to learn how to regulate our use of social media and make sure that you get information only from credible sources. Again, you have to get the facts straight. And this is a list of actual positive diversion. So whenever we feel that we are leaning towards the negative side of how we feel, we might want to also do something that is more hope that will help us cope, like writing, taking a shower, walking, gardening. So these are just a list amongst a lot of possible activities that can actually serve as positive diversions. And coping strategy number 5 tells us to always practice self-care and at the same time, community care. Next slide. And we have to remember in the practice of self-care, there's no one size fits all when it comes to the practice of self-care. And from time to time, we have to recalibrate also how we practice it. This slide tells us that there are a lot of ways we can practice self-care. There's physical self-care, emotional self-care, social, and spiritual. But the bottom line is we have to make self-care a conscious choice we make every day. Next slide. And with self-care, you might want to try to keep up with regular routines as well. So it would help because all of us are either working from home or studying from home. So it helps when we plan, when we set a routine, just so we are on cue and boundaries are not distorted. And remember, it's not all work, it's not all study. We have to inject activities also that amp up self-care again. And of course, physical activity. Don't forget that. Next slide. There has to be a balance too on being on and offline. And of course, follow bedtime routines. That's very important. Next slide. And of course, reach out to a friend. Seeking help can actually be part of the process of developing our resilience. So common shared experience can help us all cope, most especially during this time. Next slide. And express kindness, patience, and compassion as well. And express gratitude, compliment someone, and do a kind act, especially nowadays when it's very difficult to see the light. But practicing these can actually help us better cope. And we all need this. And this is a list of our partners of just in case you are asking where you can actually seek help. So there's the NCMH USAP hotline, that's the National Center for Mental Health, and of course the Philippine Mental Health Association as well. Argao Center for Psychological Services. And of course, there are CSOs that offer mental health support as well. So when you click the link, the two links there, there's going to be a list that will appear that you can actually call or seek consult they offer it for minimum fee or for free. Next slide. So that ends my talk this afternoon. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gia. That was very enlightening, and I hope that with this, we would be able to answer some of the youth's questions. So, nagustuhan ko talaga when it's really sharing these experiences and not just keeping it to yourself. So, thank you so much, Dr. Gia. So, I think we have some questions here with us. So, first of all, how can we avoid toxic positivity?
Okay, let's define first like a toxic positivity. So toxic positivity kasi, it's when you invalidate how others feel just because you're in a positive state. So how to avoid is to recognize that all of us feel respect others. And you have to all feelings are valid. So I think we have to start from that common notion. So also, when you don't recognize the situation, that can also lead to toxic positivity. So self-awareness is really key in terms of avoiding that type of perspective.
Okay, so it's really learning more about yourself, your personality is to avoid it. That's really great. Thank you, Dr. Gia. How about knowing the difference between self-care and then indulgence? Because there is a fine line between that.
Right. Let's start with this. Too much of anything is bad. So I think that's where we start. Practicing self-care also has to be in moderation, and that is also a conscious effort that we make. So if it's already harming us more than doing us good, I think that's already a fine line in between that. So anything, just practice it in moderation.
Yeah, so that goes with social media or food. Yep. Okay. So take note, mga youth natin, mga kabataan. So be aware which is what is self-care and what is already borderline of indulgence. And then the third question is, how can we make our parents, who are senior citizens, understand the concept of self-care?
Okay, it's very difficult, but being there for your parents can actually help. Constant communication can actually help them. And regular communication, updating them on what's happening. Talking about how they feel, asking them how they are, that actually helps, and assisting them in their daily needs. Those are actually basic. Those are actually parang they seem basic, but it's much needed. Especially the term "How are you?" That's very powerful.
That's really great. So it's more of showing them what self-care is, or like showing them how we can care for them
yes,
to understand what self-care is.
Yeah, and taking care also of their physical health, because lahat naman, di ba? I mean, as we age, we have different complaints. And one way of actually reaching out to them is asking them, yun nga, how they are, especially sa health. And I know they're very naiinip na sila sa bahay ngayon. So we really have to emphasize the need for them to stay home. And show them also that you're practicing it. Walking the talk. I think that's very applicable when it comes to them.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Gia. I think also one of the things that we want to tackle is we know that there are different approaches on how to comfort someone. Like you mentioned in your talk, maraming namatayan or maraming struggles ngayong time of pandemic. So what is the best way to comfort them? How do we approach? How do we start a conversation?
Actually, wala talagang formula. No? There's no really black book in terms of consoling. But everything starts with a listening ear, active listening. Most of them kasi they just need they need someone to talk to who will be there whenever they talk about how they feel.
Mhm.
Yung advice kasi medyo not so much on that unless it's asked.
Mhm.
So it's more of listening, and we have to remember that they also might need physical support, no, in terms of assistance, no. Baka naman they have difficulty in terms of that. So it comes in many ways, but it all starts with the art of active listening, and that's really being with them at the moment.
So it's not being quick to give
Yes.
advice right away, but to learn.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
that people vary as well. We're talking about grief earlier. So grief is a process. And really, support is really needed.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Dr. G. I think also now with the pandemic, there are also some changes. Like earlier, you also shared with us, like there are recreational activities, so that now we're very limited to that. So what can we do with what can we do when our usual positive coping mechanism, like probably going out to the park or doing that? What if it doesn't help us recover anymore, or it's not doable during the pandemic?
Okay. When it's affecting the quality of your life already, when it reaches that point, that's when support comes in. But at this time, during the pandemic, we really have to make do with what we have. Because this is our life. This is how it is going to be. Sabi nga nila, there are really some things in this world that you can't control. And so you just have to learn how to accept it, acceptance-based approach. And on the other end, we also have to be creative in a way in terms of implementing how we can further cope. So earlier, there was a list on positive diversion. So, during this pandemic, a lot of people have actually, found passion in cooking, in planting. So it's kind of also modifying the way we see what's happening. And that actually would help us.
Yes. So it's really an adjustment at this time.
Yes.
But we really have
And everyone is, we're all adjusting. So it's not like, because some people feel that they're undergoing this by themselves. We are all affected by this pandemic. It's just that it's on different levels. So we also have to acknowledge that. That's also part of veering away from toxic positivity.
So I think just a follow-up question with that, because we're all adjusting with now with the pandemic, and even just employees are also adjusting with the work from home setup. So how do we define that, or any tips on how to stabilize our mental health during this COVID pandemic, especially for these kids who are doing online classes that have never done online classes before?
Okay, everyone is on this together. So everyone is either, again, I mentioned working from home, or and everyone is on online classes. And I think being able to communicate your boundaries can actually help. So there's work time, and there's study time, and there's family time. So you have to talk about that as a family. And it's about time that we start communicating, verbalizing our needs, open lines of communication, and dedicate spaces. I know some may be challenged with spaces, but a small space can do in terms of dedicating that space only for work or study. But when you go out of that place, it's already physical activity or something that will help you cope. So it's really setting physical, personal, and professional boundaries. Because otherwise, if we don't practice boundaries, the lines will continually blur and may affect our relationships.
Yes, that's right. That's a really, really good tip. I think even those who are working can even learn from that, because of course there's like a thin line already. There's a blur of what is work, what is home, since we're all
That's true.
Working
That's
from
true.
home, studying from home. Thank you, Dr. Gia. But how about going to that side for more of those who are clinically diagnosed, for example? So I have a question here from Danielle Marie Marta. She said, what if even though someone is clinically diagnosed with a mental disorder, however, the people that should be helping, like family, doesn't acknowledge the fact that there is a mental condition. So how do you address that? So I'm assuming this is your friend, or so how
if it's family, like there's a strategy we take on talking to let's say a close tita or a tito, explaining, kasi ito muna ha, it shouldn't stop you from talking about how you feel. So just because they don't believe now doesn't mean they won't believe in the future. So you may talk to a friend for now, kasi the definition of family has evolved already. In that, friends can become family. But somewhere along the way, our family also needs to understand our condition and that clinical depression is real. So please don't stop educating them, or you might want to involve your doctor, involve your parents in terms of whenever you talk about how your condition. That's really an effective way for the doctor to talk to the parents, or involve another family member who is close to the parents that can explain your condition. So really, it's really a dynamic. It's a dynamic circle of being able to educate and advocate at the same time.
Wow, yeah. So it seems so easy to know, like, oh, it's communication, but when you're actually there, it's really a struggle.
It's difficult. Yeah, it's a struggle. But please don't get discouraged, because we have heard a lot of cases na nung una very skeptic, but eventually they got educated and they actually believe. So just keep going.
Thank you for that, Dr. J. We also want to thank, of course, the ones who asked these questions. They want a shout out. So Angeli Tonko, Miles Liana, Christian Mark, Mirales Lobo, and the others as well. Okay, so I think you mentioned it in your last slide, like who to talk to. But, this is from Kyla Marie. So who will you talk to if all your friends are struggling mentally?
Okay, of course, family. You're still family. And the hotlines that we have flashed, they're actually 24/7, like the NCMH USAP hotline. But just a disclaimer, medyo they're full, no? But there are a lot of, we'll give you the slide where CSOs are actually offering help. And of course, don't forget Youth for Mental Health Coalition. They're very responsive in terms of in their messenger account. You can just send them a message and they will assist you. So please know that you're not alone. We're here for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gia. And of course, Youth for Mental Health Coalition is also our partner for this event. So we also thank Dr. RJ Nagit for being with us this afternoon. And
thank you, RJ.
Thank you, Dr. RJ. And also, before we close, maybe Dr. Gia, you would just want to share your parting message or a lasting message for our youth this afternoon.
Just 2 words. Keep going. No matter how dark the days are or tough, sooner or later, let's anchor always on that term called hope, and that we can really rebuild a better and a just future. So don't give up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gia. And of course, you can still go to her pages. Also, she's on Twitter. She has her social media pages where you can also know about the talks that she will be having all throughout this pandemic. She's been really in other platforms as well. So remember, Youth for Mental Health Coalition is part of that to encourage everyone that you're not alone. So thank you again, Dr. Gia Sison. Right, so we are done with our first session. Was that a fully packed session? A lot of you were asking so many questions. A lot of you are also commenting from what school you are from. So thank you. We recognize each and every one of you. And before we go to our short break, of course, we will thank again our partners. So we thank GCash for being our official streaming partner, as well as Enderun Colleges for sponsoring our raffle prizes. And we would also like to thank our event partners shown on our screen here below. So you can see National Youth Volunteers Coalition, 2030 Youth Force Philippines, Youth for Mental Health Coalition, De La Salle College of St. Benilde, Singapore School Cebu, Ridley International School, Sangguniang Commission for Mental Health, High Unite, Maroon FM, Ateneo Management Economics Organization, and PUP Central Student Council. We have also a lot of participating organizations and schools. So please do comment, keep commenting on who you're representing, what organization you're representing, and keep sharing this video so everyone can join as well. So we will have a short break. Okay, so we will have a 5-minute break for everyone to just take a rest from their screens. You can have a bathroom break, bio break, anything that you want, and we will be back in 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone.
I'm proud to be part of the Enderun community because for once in my life, I feel that I'm surrounded by people who share the same passion as I do, who strive for excellence the way I do as well. Enderun is full of students from different countries around the world. Being around these students, it helps bring new ideas to the table. So it makes me become more aware of what their culture is all about, and it prepares me for when I go out into the real world.
It excites me personally knowing that Enderun is continuously growing and continuously trying to improve itself through collaborating with international companies and universities as well in order to prepare us for our career paths.
The environment here in Enderun is very pleasing, very friendly, and very international. I mean, when I entered the school, I knew that I would have an environment where I could easily adapt to.
And as an international school, the standard of things and things, how things are maintained and how things are run, and even just the campus in general and the facilities and the extracurricular activities that are provided for students here. For me, it was something new, exciting, and something that I know I would actually really jump at.
Majority of our faculty members are not really from the academia. Most of our faculty members have in the past been practitioners and have vast years of experience to be able to guide the young generation into the preferred field of profession. And this is one of the plus factors that our students enjoy.
Opportunities like this don't come often, so it's really something that we should take advantage of since it was made available locally. Aside from this, you really have the best facilities and the best teachers, the best chefs, and you're surrounded by people who share the same passion as you.
I think Enderun sets itself apart from all the other schools, you see, because when I come to school, I learn more than just theories. I learn more than just things that you get from books, you know. In Enderun, they want to equip you with experience. That's why they call it the Enderun experience, because even before you leave the walls of the school, even before you graduate, they build you with internship and experience, and I think ultimately that's what I look forward to, because I know I could only better myself each day that I come here.
The Office of Career Services assists students in determining the best career path for them. So from freshman year all the way until graduation, we guide them and we assist them in honing the skills needed in order for them to achieve their lifelong goals. We are very proud to say that we have 100% placement every semester in over 30 countries. We send students to top restaurants, large hotel chains, and Fortune 500 companies all over the world. When they come back to us, they have a better understanding of who they are as an individual, as well as what it will take for them to achieve a fruitful career.
It seems like yesterday I was a student at Enderun, and now I am the general manager of an upcoming hotel in Boracay. every time I'm asked about Enron, I always say that we're the only school who put up a hotel management company, Enron Hospitality Management. I may seem young, but I'm confident that Enron education coupled with real-life experiences made a difference.
On my personal path, I have gone into mentoring aside from teaching. Meaning to say, any student who has finished can come back and consult, and I will help them realize their dream. Because I realize the success of a school is equated to the success of a student. So therefore, this kind of obsession we must place to making our student successful.
And we are back live for the Virtual Youth Summit 2020. So if you were here earlier, mental health is really our top priority. We thank Dr. Gia Sison and of course the Youth for Mental Health Coalition for joining us this afternoon. And it is a top priority right now for the youth. And how can we be effective youth or student leaders without taking into account our mental, our physical, and remember, spiritual health, of course. So once we do that, we are more effective or we are more equipped to be effective leaders. So with that, we want to proceed to our second session this afternoon, which is servant leadership and youth development. So to give a background on our speaker, her name is Miss Althea Antonio. Aya Antonio is a media practitioner who has always believed in the power of media to inspire critical thinking, transform behaviors, cultivate culture, and touch lives. She is currently the national convener of 2030 Youth Force Philippines. 2030 Youth Force Philippines is a regional youth-led network in Asia Pacific that brings the 2030 agenda of UN Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, she is also the host and co-creator of Quarren Talk Media, an alternative online media channel and production company born amid the pandemic to address current social issues. So you can find that on their Facebook, facebook.com /Quarren Talk Media. And for more info, you can find her at aya.antonio@gmail.com or even through her social media accounts and her website at www.ayaantonio.com. So please welcome Miss Aya Antonio.
Thank you, Laika. Thank you, World Vision Philippines, for inviting me this afternoon. Well, good afternoon, everyone, or good day to those who will replay this video. I am happy to be here. And I was asked to share with you some insights on servant leadership and my leadership journey, or how I became the national convener of a youth-led NGO here in the Philippines. But now, before I proceed with my leadership story, let me first give you a background about the 2030 Youth Force. As like I said, we are present in Asia Pacific. And now, if you remember, for some of you who are familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals, in 2015, the United Nations, including the Philippines, adopted these 17 SDGs, or a set of 17 goals to achieve a world without poverty, without hunger, where the environment is protected, a world where there is peace and prosperity. And it's really inspiring and motivating to envision that and to dream about that world, hopefully by 2030. And now this is the core of my work in the 2030 Youth Force. And our primary goal is really to mobilize young people to find their role in achieving this kind of world, that this is possible, that there is something that young people can do to participate in achieving sustainable development. But now when we started in 2016, the SDGs were pretty new at that point. And so our goal was to raise awareness among young people. And we are happy that 4 years since, we see a lot of organizations really aligning with this blueprint, an international movement for sustainable development. We're talking about education, we're talking about health and wellness, we're talking about peace and climate action, etc. And so we're happy that we see that the noise and the campaigning that we were creating over the years were we're having some kind of an impact and a result years later. But when I was asked, did you ever imagine that you'll lead the organization? Or how did you prepare to become a convener of a national organization and represent the country in an international network? The truth is, I didn't prepare to become a national leader or a leader of a national organization. Now, some of you, for our students, some of you may be dreaming about leading student councils or maybe becoming your own leader in your own businesses, for example, or maybe climbing a corporate ladder for some of you. But you may be more strategic about it, about how you go about achieving your dreams or your own personal leadership goal. But let me just share with you the steps that I took, not really planning to become a leader or in the top position of a certain organization, but really just staying true to the purpose and to the cause that I really want to support. Because, 3 years of serving in an organization and dealing with different people and institutions, having a certain title was the last thing on my mind. It wasn't in my mind at all. But maybe, through our continuous efforts, people would start to recognize you and your potentials. And this afternoon, I would just want to share with you 3 key insights that when I recall, these were the highlights of my affair with a youth-led organization. First, you have to listen. If we want to lead, whether it's in your household, in your groups, or in your communities, I hope that you would listen and that leaders in any community would also learn to listen. To listen and be humble, to listen to your people, and to listen to the members of your community or to the members of your group. And always put the interests of others before yourself. Sometimes I wonder, are we in this position because we just want the title? Are we in this position, or is this leader in the position just because of the perks that goes with the role, for example? But really, genuine leadership really entails sincerity and humility to hear constructive feedback or negative thoughts about how you lead, for example. And, in this pandemic, a lot of people are experiencing different concerns, as Doc Gia also talked about earlier. We have different circumstances now, and things may be more challenging for some of us. And the people that we lead may be in different circumstances or in a more challenging position. And as leaders, we need to listen. We need to listen to their peculiar concerns, which you may not be able to totally comprehend, but you can empathize with. And as a leader, maybe what you can really do is just be there for them and to listen and to be empathetic. Second, you need to develop a growth mindset. When we started the organization, I was in my early 20s. I wasn't the expert in forming partnerships, for example, or dealing with international organizations, or being interviewed for grant applications, or pitching business ideas, for example, or talking before several people. But over the years, those were some skills that I realized can really be developed. And so if you're young and you really want to do a lot of things, the first thing that we have to do as young people is to put ourselves out there and explore the different opportunities and the potentials that we have. Because maybe along the way, we can find the path that we really want to pursue for maybe the rest of our lives. For some of us, well, some of us may just be, exploring still, even if we're already in our late 20s or early 30s and still exploring. Remember that we just really need to take the first step and be open to all the growth that may happen in our lives, and still keep searching for what sparks joy, as some, the buzz phrase now is, find that which sparks joy in your life And I hope that you keep being open to the opportunities. Not a lot of us, not a lot of people or young people would have the privilege to explore their potentials. Not all young people would have the privilege to go out, and not a lot of people are presented with the same set of opportunities. But when you recognize an opportunity before you and when you have a chance, I hope that you will find the courage to take it and to explore and to do your best when you have a certain opportunity for growth. And lastly, the third is to take care of yourself. Again, you cannot give what you do not have, as they say. And for me, this is a marathon. I started in my organization in 2016. But, I have to also make a note that it's not the only thing that I do. I also have a full-time job. I have Quarant Talk Media, as Laika earlier mentioned. It's a passion project, which is now turning into a business venture. I have 2 other passion projects. And all these things are about providing platforms for other young people, or providing platforms for different voices and different stories to be heard, because my career path is on communications and media. So I have a lot of things on my plate, but the drive is there, and the energy, thankfully, is still there to do a lot of these things. And there are times that I am reminded that I cannot do all these things if I did not maintain a certain level of energy and drive to do these. And with that, I know that I really have to allow myself to also rest. And I hope you also remember that you allow yourself to rest. A lot of young people nowadays, maybe most of you who are watching and who are tuned in, are the kind of young people who are very enthusiastic and have great dreams. But the thing is, along the way, when you're very engrossed in something, you can forget to take care of yourself too, and just keep saying yes to different opportunities, keep saying yes to new work or to new opportunities, new volunteer work, for example. But you have to remember that this is a marathon. If you're studying and you're doing volunteer work on the side, you have to manage your energy as well and learn to take some rest. And sometimes, saying no doesn't always mean being selfish. So I hope you are reminded that it is okay to say no and set certain expectations with other people as well. It is better to have consistent energy and achieve your goals than having bursts of energy and then finding yourself along the way not having enough to last till the end of the journey of whatever it is that you were trying to achieve. So there are times that your programs and your projects may have to run for a year, but because you overexerted yourself, you cannot find it in you anymore to finish things. Sometimes it happens, especially with some volunteers who are doing a lot of things. It can happen. And we have to avoid burnout. And we recognize that in this kind of situation, when we are in a pandemic, with a lot of things weighing on in our minds, it's very easy for us to feel burdened and anxious. And we have to recognize that as well. And at the bottom of it all, we have to know ourselves. At this today, if there's something that I'd want you to really take from my sharing, is that you have to get to know yourself, where you are, the kind of growth that you want to see, and how far you can go with the energy that you have right now. Because even when we want to do a lot of things, we still have to manage what's realistic for the circumstances that we are in. Before I proceed, let me just give you a call to action to look around you and think of the kind of leaders that you see in your households, in your schools, or in your communities or country. And then ask yourself, what kind of leader do you want to be? Are you the type who would want to be a leader of a certain organization, or to see yourself as a leader, to see yourself taking charge of a lot of people because of the title or the prestige? Or are we leading to just serve our own interests? Or are we there to really do great work and to really serve others? If you read the Bible, if you're familiar with some parts of it, in the gospel, you'd see there that sometimes you have to be the last before you can be the first. Sometimes being a leader doesn't always have to be you being in the front. Sometimes you have to take a step back also. And that's also one way to look after the welfare of your people. So as you evaluate the kind of aspirations that you have when it comes to being on top or being leaders or being the leaders of this country in the future, I hope you don't lose sight of the purpose of why you want to lead. And we need leaders who know how to serve. And how can you serve? You have to ask also, what do you have to offer? Again, as young people, we may think that we can do a lot of things or that we can do everything. Yes, we can, but we also need the help of others, and we also need certain resources. But what's important is that your sincerity is there, and that you can protect that sincerity and that good, really pure heart to lead and to serve. And as you maybe plan the next years of your lives, or maybe you can find yourself planning ahead because of the situation that we're in. It's so difficult to plan when things are uncertain. But when you try to envision the kind of life that you want, I hope that you do not be intimidated by other people or by the circumstances. And do take up space and contribute to our society. There is always something that you can do. Just educating yourself, contributing your voice to good causes, posting about it on social media, talking to your peers and to your friends and to your family about causes that you support, that's already a contribution. That's a start. And we have to remember that our world, this world, needs more warriors who are really brave to share themselves to the world and hopefully make our world a better place or a safer place for all of us in all sense of the word. Safer externally and safer for our well-being and safer for our thoughts to flourish and for ourselves to flourish as better people. I hope some of you would have questions that we can discuss, and I would like to end my sharing there on just really asking you to be brave in this pandemic, and with the dreams that you have and your aspirations for our country, that you be brave and that you do not be intimidated, whether it be by people or by circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Aya. Wow, that was really good. We even have quotes from our participants who are on Facebook right now. There are some who are saying that to serve is to lead is first to serve. That's right. And then it says their leader is one. To serve is always better than to lead first. So to serve is always better than to be served. Okay. Ang dami kasi. And they're all popping up on Facebook. Okay. So we will head to our questions now. So thank you again, Miss Aya, for that. So I think one of the things that Miss Aya mentioned earlier, and I think that we also want to impart here at World Vision, is that it's you're not limited right now with the means that we have, like with social media and everything. Like right now, you can even share your advocacies online. We can enter summits like these. We can share fundraising activities. We can do a lot of things when right now, even during these trying times. So we will answer these questions that we have here. We have one from Jana Alexandria. During this pandemic, how do you keep yourself motivated and keep up with the expectations of everyone?
Right. Yeah. I also asked that question many times, because as a leader, You always have to be in charge and on top of your game as much as possible. So there's really so I recognize and I acknowledge that yes, it is true. There's always that expectation that when you are leading, you have to be okay, you have to be able to cope. When a lot of people, it's this pandemic is a challenge to all leaders in different settings, be it in the government, businesses, civil society, schools, even families, even a church maybe, so there are a lot of certain decision making and navigation that we have to deal with and new realities that we have to deal with. So how do I keep myself motivated? I know that the cost, at least in the context of our organization, the cost is bigger than the current challenges that we are facing. Because, for example, that this pandemic was brought about by issues with human behavior towards our climate, towards our environment, for example. And if we stop educating or talking about the effect or the impact of everyone on the environment, for example, or if we stop talking about how our actions affect other people, or if we stop talking about the injustices that we see in our lives or in other people, in our communities, or even in our country or the world in general, if we stop, what hope would there be if we do not keep the work? So, again, this is where I realized that this is really a marathon again, that you have to learn to discover yourself when you feel that you're about when your energy is about to be depleted, when you have to recharge, and when you really have to pause. And as a leader, it is better to be transparent to your team when you need a time off. So there would be a lot of challenges along the way. And the pandemic that we're in, it's just one of the many challenges that we will face. So we have to face it the way that we would face any other challenges. We'd have to just face it head on, but at the same time, face our own realities and learn to take a rest and be easy on yourself when you have to, and just have the transparency with the people, be it at work or at school. If you really cannot make it to work or make it to school, communicate. Because I think we just need to keep talking to one another and help one another face this pandemic together. So if it's affecting you, it's better to communicate than to just vanish and not talk to people and make people worry and your causes to suffer. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, thank you. So that was from Jana. Thank you very much.
Jana.
Yes. Okay, so another question here is from Lemuel. So he's asking, what is your advice to those who are afraid of showing their leadership skills, thinking that they might be bullied by their peers?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
That's a tough question. I have to put myself in that place. There are times when you, as I said, you try not to be intimidated, but I understand that there are realities that you'd have to confront every day. Number one, I hope that you find the cause greater than the backlash that you will receive. For example, posting something on social media, for example, something sharp or something brave that would offend others, but is right. You have to open yourself up to negative feedback, to criticisms, to bullying, to bashing, to trolls. But if you believe that what you're about to say is worth all those negativities because you believe in that truth and you believe that more people would benefit than the kind of backlash that you would personally suffer, then it might be worth it. When it comes to anything else that we would do, I think you will have to really ask yourself if what you want to do is better, or if more people would benefit from you doing it than the personal suffering that you will have to endure and how much you can endure. Because again, you have to know yourself. So you have to be resilient. How much resilience do you need to build? You need to know for yourself. And I hope you find that. And I hope that you get to muster that courage to take up the space and lead. At the end of the day, when it comes to leadership, or with most things, when I want to do something, I'd rather take a risk and let the universe respond. If if I'm not supposed to be in that place, I believe circumstances would reveal it to me that I'm not supposed to be leading. But it has to be us taking that first step and trying it first. So I hope you find the courage to take that step and see if leadership is for you, and if you can really see yourself through the path to leadership. There will always be challenges, and that's just one of the many challenges that you will have to face in the course of leadership, for sure. So I hope you get to overcome that first hurdle.
Wow, thank you, Miss Aya. Yeah, so Lemuel, for you or for others who are also pursuing a leadership role or want to exert your skills, it's really a hurdle that you have to overcome first. It's a sacrifice of being leader, but with Miss Aya, we can see that it has been worth it. So I hope tama naman, Miss Aya.
So far, yes.
Thank you for that. Okay, so there's another question here also. Oh, this is a nice question from Eunice Codera. She said, how do you identify an advocacy or be able to persistently pursue it? So finding that cause that you believe.
Okay, Eunice, don't worry. I really understand that because I've been there and I think I'm still there. But again, we have to take that first step. Let me just share quickly. I'll try to keep it brief. How did I get started in my volunteer work after college? So outside school, I was already working, and then a few years later, I realized that I still have the time, the skills, and the energy to do something and to contribute more to my community and to others, to the world. I have this energy and the time to contribute. So what do I want to do? I had to figure out where I would volunteer or what cause I would support, etc. And I couldn't give myself that 100% conviction to do something for just one thing. I think I'm more of a generalist. And so when I found, you can contribute here and there, but I wasn't as passionate to just one thing as I think other people are. There are people who are more passionate about the environment. Some people are really very passionate about the education. And I couldn't find that same level of passion and dedication for just one cause. And I just really want to do a lot of things and for a lot of things. And then I discovered the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and it's very perfect for a generalist like me because if you don't know much about the environment yet or the ecosystem or how things know yet about renewable energy, how can you advocate for that? You have to, of course, educate yourself. So in everything, you just really have to educate yourself and try to sell it to yourself if you really want to advocate for it. And so with the 17 SDGs, I felt that, okay, I can be part of this organization and I can champion these 17 in my own ways. And then hopefully, eventually, I would find one or two that I could, support more and vigorously and passionately as others are with their own advocacy. But, who said that we have to choose just one? I asked myself that same question because I realized maybe I was putting undue pressure on myself to just commit myself to just one cause when there are other ways that I could, contribute to good causes. So far, I realized that I would like to really stand up for the entire well-being. When you stand up when you advocate good health and well-being, you're technically advocating for everything else surrounding the person. So you also need to make sure that there's quality education, that we have access to the needs that we need, to the needs of the person, for example, because it also affects their well-being. You need to create safe spaces and safe communities for them because you want them to have good health and well-being. So, a lot of these issues are interconnected. So maybe it wouldn't matter to just start, it wouldn't matter to devote yourself to just one. Just start with one and then see where that will take you. Because along the way, you might find another cause that you would feel passionate about and you'd want to contribute to. So there, it's a journey. You don't need to just choose like a career. It's really difficult and it's a common crisis for young people. Yeah.
That's nice how you called it a journey, and it's really a journey on knowing what cause to support. But I like what you added, Miss Aya, that it's also really focusing on an individual, because when you're focusing on helping an individual, you see the surroundings, you see what they're going through in their environment or in their community. So this is also one of the things that World Vision does with the children, not just helping the children, but the family as a unit and as a whole community. So this is what we also want to do. And for SDGs as well, these are things that we want to tackle, you know, and you can really find your way to a cause that you would love and you would love to support. Thank you, Miss Aya. There are actually more questions here. I hope you're still okay. We will just ask the questions here by Mr. Christian Mark Lobo. He said, during this pandemic, what can we do to step up and even help, though we are just at home?
Okay. Sorry, that's from who?
Christian.
Christian, sorry. Okay, thank you, Christian. How can we help and step up amid this pandemic? I can point you to several organizations. There are a lot that you can do, even from home. I want to give you concrete steps that you can do amid the pandemic. Okay, so number one, you can go. I hope, Laika, it's okay that I present some links that top of my mind that people can visit. You know, the websites that
yes, please
support. Well, of course, also check out the causes of World Vision Philippines. Second, go to I Volunteer Philippines. I Volunteer Philippines on Facebook. They have a list on their website. They have a list of different volunteer opportunities. Again, that's it's the letter I, Volunteer Philippines. They have a lot of options. There are a lot of options for you how you can volunteer, and you can also volunteer your treasure. For young people, it may not be so practical or advisable for you to contribute your treasure, but there are options to help fundraising drives. If you believe in the support, but you don't have the capacity, for example, to share your own financial resources for certain causes, you can share the links of any fund drive that you would see online. You can share it, you can talk about it, you can create a TikTok video about any of those and post it on your social media, or invite your friends and your family to support it. So there, I volunteer. And then also, there are certain hackathons that are happening. When there are hackathons, these are online events tailored amid the pandemic that tries to address certain social issues emerging out of this pandemic. So you can wait for the UNDP Philippines Youth Collab. So just subscribe and follow UNDP Philippines and wait for the upcoming Youth Collab this October or November. So you can find a group. So when you sign up, you will be paired with certain groups, for example, and find a solution for certain challenges. So the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines we will also have that this October. So you can go to the SDG Bayanihan Summit or the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines Facebook group page. 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines there. And then, wait for the notifications and the mechanics on how you can join. But the idea is that when you sign up, you can be paired or you can be assigned to certain groups. And as long as you have the same causes that you would want to solve, for example, you want to help have a more accessible education in this time. Diba, daming may issues sa remote learning or the devices, ganyan. So how can we do something about it? So meet with other young people and think about it as a group and then come up with a project or a campaign. And those things can be done online. So we'll provide a platform for you to solve problems, emerging problems in this pandemic. So there are opportunities like that. So while you're on Facebook, follow those. UNDP Philippines, 2030 Youth Force Philippines, I Volunteer Philippines, World Vision Philippines. There.
Thank you, Miss Aya. So as you can see, there are so many platforms for the youth today, not just shelling out your own financial treasures, but really being that voice in this generation. Also, I would like to mention the student ambassadors who are candidates of student ambassadors in World Vision. So there is a World Vision student ambassadorship program, and there are students who are here who are part of this summit, and they, together with the 5K campaign challenge, they were around 30 plus students, and they joined together, and they were able to raise 280,000 for families who were affected by COVID-19. So you can see that you can really go a long way with just your platform. They didn't even have to use their own money, or they didn't have to use their own resources. All they had to do was set up this campaign. You can help, you can join. And also World Vision also has a Joy to Give platform for that. So if you can check out Miss Aya's 2030 Youth Force, their summit. So these are all over the internet. You can find ways that you can help, ways that you can step up even during this time. So thank you, Miss Aya. Just a last two questions for us. Okay, so from Shaina Paz, she says here, being a leader has always been a challenge, and that people will not always listen and agree with you. So in this case, how can you effectively remain to serve different parties, even though some may not agree with your advocacy?
Okay, it's a reality again. There's a certain concept called principled leadership, and it takes a lot of self-discovery to understand your own principles. And to me, when it comes to decision making, you have to be as authentic as possible, as sincere as possible, and true to your own principles and to the values of your organization. And the organization, when we encounter divide in positions or in beliefs or in the opinions, we can always go back to the core and to the principles of the organizations, which primarily would be the SDGs. But in other instances, you can always go back to the mission and the principles and the values of your organization or of your group, and try if you can find that compass that you need when it comes to navigating those waters. But in certain instances, when you have to deal with opposing views, this is where you really need, as a leader, to develop your persuasion skills. And persuasion doesn't necessarily mean being evil or being cunning or forgetting about the interests of others to serve your own interests. But it's better to be persuasive, for me at least, than to be some kind of a dictator, to just make people do what you want and what you ask them to do. So learn to persuade and learn to communicate well enough so that other people would see things from your perspective and hopefully spur them to action and guide them in the direction that your group would have to take. So learn about those skills and read up on, again, principled leadership, persuasion, and crisis management.
Thank you, Miss Aya. So there are ways, right, that you have to really be equipped also on knowing what your cause is like so that you can advocate them. Thank you, Miss Aya. And then there's a very difficult or challenging question from Kennedy Funay. It says, how can we mobilize the youth towards a range of issues in this current time, in spite of the technological resource divide we're seeing?
Okay, so how can we mobilize young people? That's also our concern. It's something that we're trying to figure out. Because again, not a lot of people would have the same access to these tools and devices that we have. But if we have 10 million people online, if you have 10 million people online, that's still 10 million people, potential supporters to the cause that you have. So to me, we have to maximize what we have. So if you have access and influence over and through the internet or through this technology, go ahead and maximize it. And what we should do is to create leaders through these platforms. So if there are a few people who have access to these tools and to these opportunities online, the goal now would be on how to equip them and how to enable them to reach those who are near them in their own communities. Because we have to reach those who are farthest, and we cannot allow anyone to be left behind in our pursuit for a better life or a better world, of course. So yeah, we have to start somewhere. If in this pandemic your entry point would be online, or your entry point would be the online spaces that you have, maximize that. And then through these platforms, let's mobilize those that we can talk to so that they can be equipped to touch those who are not online, not on these spaces. But again, we have to also equip them with their PPEs and everything, all the necessary precautions that they would need when they would have to go on ground and talk to different people or to coordinate with different offices in this pandemic. But that's it. As young people, you can only just, number one, if you want to reach the grassroots or the local communities, we can talk to the LGUs. If you really want to have like a grassroots level or a community level intervention on certain things or on certain causes. Other than that, we can just try our best with the people that we can engage through the modes that are available to us. Laika?
Thank you, Miss Aya. Wow, that was a really great discussion. That was actually the last question that we had. So thank you, Miss Aya, for that wonderful lecture and that discussion that we just had. So if you have any parting message for our youth, please feel free to do so.
Okay, thank you, Laika, and thank you again, World Vision Philippines, for having me today. To our youth out there, hang on, kapit lang in this pandemic. We know and we recognize the different challenges that we have, but we can do this together. Seryoso, as in, be there for your friends and be there for yourself as well. And as for the ways on how you can help in this pandemic, I think I can comment on the thread on the live stream with some links. So to help you get to those opportunities faster. So there, again, thank you so much. And if you want to support the 17 SDGs with our fellow youth, please follow us at facebook.com/youthforceph. Also, lastly, Global Week to Act for SDGs is happening on September 18 to 26 this year. That's the anniversary of the SDGs also. So please visit the 2030 Youth Force Facebook for some of the webinars and opportunities also waiting for you to be engaged in this cause. Thank you so much, Laika and World Vision and everyone for your time.
Thank you so much, Miss Aya. That was really fruitful, and I hope that a lot of you were able to tune in all throughout that discussion. So thank you again, Miss Aya. As she mentioned, they have upcoming events that you can also tune into. So we will be providing that for you. And 2030 Youth Force is also World Vision's partner for this virtual youth summit. So thank you, 2030 Youth Force, for being with us this afternoon and all till tomorrow for our second day of the summit. And so now we have finished our 2 sessions. Okay pa ba tayo? How are our viewers online? Can you comment or tap again the emoji of what you are feeling, guys? Oh, there are more care emojis and heart emojis. That's wonderful. thank you so much for sharing and for staying with us all throughout this summit. And please do come back tomorrow for the second day, because we will be announcing how you will be getting your e-certificates. And we're not done for today, because we will have our raffle sponsored by Enderun Colleges. So we have Enderun Colleges for sponsoring our prizes for this Youth Summit 2020. So thank you, Enderun. So Enderun is offering a 4-year degree programs on business and hospitality, short courses, certificate programs, and tutorials. And today we have 3 lucky winners for a 2-hour online tutorial session worth 2,200 pesos each. So for those who are struggling with their studies, you can get this 2-hour online tutorial. So make sure you're still here, and please comment once we call out your name, okay? So we already pre-selected through this app that we have. So I'm going to share this with you guys. So out of the 2,000 of you who registered, 50 were shortlisted, and we will start our raffle right now. All right, who is it? Wow, okay. We have Rian Juliet A. Marzado. So for Rian Juliet Marzado, please, if you're still watching, please comment on the Facebook page, Facebook Live, that you are here. So Rian Juliet Marzado is the first winner of our online raffle. And next, we're going to remove your name, and then we're going to continue. And the next winner is Sweetlyn Gonzalez. All right, we have Sweetlyn Gonzalez, who won the second raffle prize. Okay, so both of you have the 2,200 worth of online tutorials. And the last but not the least, we have here All right, so congratulations to the 3 of you. We thank you for joining us, and of course, we will continue to have this raffle by Enderun Colleges. Tomorrow, we do have a grand prize, so please stay tuned for that. Okay, so please, if you are the one that was called earlier, please do message us on Facebook, and we will also email the steps on how you can claim your raffle prize. So for all the winners, please expect an email from us soon. And if you have any questions about Enderun Colleges, and if you're interested with their programs, please feel free to visit their website at www.enderuncolleges.com.ph or email Tony, that's toni.santos@enderuncolleges.com. Right, so we have finished our day 1 of the summit. So did we all learn a lot today? We can still see so many congratulations from our friends and attendees, participants who are with us on our Facebook Live. So I sure hope that you did learn a lot today from mental health and leadership, all of these things that we have to know first to know more about what's going on in society. So these are really, this is the initiative that World Vision would want to impart upon the youth, that you are not neglected at this time. You are, in fact, our hope for, as our Dr. Jose Rizal would say, ang pag-asa ng bayan ay ang mga kabataan, di ba? So we really believe that the next generation to be equipped mentally, physically, spiritually, in all aspects for us to be relevant and become effective leaders of tomorrow. Okay, so So please do not forget that tomorrow we will still have our second day of the summit, and it will still be here on our Facebook page of World Vision. So we will meet you again at 4 p.m., exactly at 4 p.m., but we will already be ready at 3:45 p.m. So just a few reminders, please take note that e-certificates will be issued after the event, and only those who attended both of these events or both of these days will receive the e-certificate. So please do make sure to come back tomorrow for our second day. And again, we thank GCash and the Run Colleges and our event partners for this summit, as you can see on the screen. We would like to thank the National Youth Volunteers Coalition, 2030 Youth Parks Philippines, Youth for Mental Health Coalition, De La Salle, College of St. Benilde, Singapore School Cebu, Reedley International School, Sangguniang, Commission for Mental Health, High Unite, Maroon FM, Ateneo Management Economics Organization, and PUP Central Student Council. And so we thank you, and tomorrow we will be with you again soon. Thank you all for joining us on our first day. Bye. God bless.